guys, welcome to the Stop Renting podcast. My name is Rodrigo Posada.
Kara Berger.
And today we're going to be talking about...
We are going to be talking about real estate commissions. Everything that's going on with our real estate commissions.
Awesome. So, yeah.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot. I'm sure a lot of people have heard a lot of stuff on the news about real estate commissions and our 5% or 6% and all that good stuff. So today we're going to do I would say more like a high-level dive, I think.
Yeah.
To overall explaining what's happening from inside the industry. And then we'll probably have to do a second episode to go over all the documentation that needs to be...
the different agreements and the different documents that are required to be signed.
Correct. That's one of the big parts of it. So
we're going to talk about NAR, the NAR lawsuit. So everyone knows about it. It's all over the media, or it was. So what is the NAR lawsuit? What is that?
So where it all started, this whole situation, was up north. I forget the exact state, but in some state up north, a group of sellers got together and sued a group of realtors for, my understanding, for colluding to set artificially high commission. So they were saying that 6% that they got charged was artificially high, for something to that extent.
Okay.
So NAR went back and forth. There was lawsuits, and then it ended up being that they took a settlement. NAR took a settlement with the lawyers that were representing those sellers, and the settlement had two main parts that really affected us. One is that in any multiple listing MLS and multiple listing service that is under NAR can no longer state exactly what the seller is offering the buyer's agent in terms of commission. So right now we have a section at the bottom of the MLS that us as either buyer, any agent can see at the bottom of each listing what you're being offered as a single agent, transaction broker, and I forgot the third one. So that field is going to be completely eliminated. I believe mid-August. They keep changing the date.
Yeah, like August 17th.
Yeah, they keep changing the date. But it's going to be gone within the next month.
Yep.
Secondly, it is now going to be required that buyers agents have a written signed agreement with individual buyers before showing them any homes, including virtual homes.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's a very big deal because it's something that we've talked about, our old team talked about. I've heard a lot of agents talk about buyer broker agreements. And
it wasn't like enforced or like a requirement.
Yeah.
I mean, you should do it. Just always depends on your client and who you're dealing with too. Because, sometimes it takes more time to do that. How quick, you're trying to get into a home to see the property.
It sketches some people out. Some people get nervous about it. So
some people are like, I don't want to sign my life away, which is understandable.
Because it is a contract. At the end of the day, you're signing and there's numbers in there and there's commissions.
Yeah. It can be overwhelming.
Yeah. So. Which, again, a good part of what we would hope to achieve with this episode, and I think the next one where we go over the documents, is for agents as well as for the public, we want to explain the documents in a way that people really understand what they're signing, what they're agreeing to, what repercussions and all that good stuff. So
try to make it as simple as possible.
Correct. Yeah. And again, I think overall, it's not going to be the end of the world. A lot of people want to make it seem like it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
The news makes it seem
like oh my gosh,
real estate agents are all going to quit and go do something else, and home prices are going to be half. So whatever, none of that's going to happen.
No.
But we'll deep dive into each significant part of it. But again, a bunch of sellers got together, sued a bunch of realtors. NAR, the National Association of Realtors, got in the way with their lawyers. There was lawsuits, blah blah blah. There was a settlement. Main part of the settlement: you cannot disclose on the MLS systems the commissions, and you have to have a buyer broker agreement before showing houses.
So can you call? You can call.
Correct.
So there's workarounds. We'll talk about so many workarounds too, but workarounds. Because it's not just you'll never know until you put an offer in. Like you can be proactive.
Yeah, you can definitely, and it's something that we talk about in our team.
We
had a big meeting with our brokerage compass here in Sarasota, and one of the things we discussed, like what are the, hate to use the word workarounds, but it is workarounds.
I know, I don't want to say workarounds, but like.
We're abiding by the laws. Nobody's breaking any laws, but there is workarounds because, and as a listing agent, and I've spoken to other listing agents, like you need to offer commission.
Yeah.
And we can go into that, and that could be a whole nother episode. Like if you think you're going to sell your house without offering commission to the buyer side, the chances that you get as high as possible, slim to none.
Yeah, you limit yourself to so many buyers.
You might as well do for sale by owner. But
I mean, I get
a whole nother.
That's a whole other thing. That's what we think. But, that's why you educate your client. So we already talked about why this happened. What are the major short-term?
So the major short-term implications. So if you're a real estate agent and you have a buyer and you're going to go show them a house, first you have to have some type of written, the buyer buyer broker agreement or a showing agreement.
The showing agreement.
You have to have that signed before you even step foot on the property. That's the wording. And secondly, you are not going to just be able to go on the MLS and see what that homeowner that seller is offering commission. Like we said, you're more than likely you're going to have to call the listing agent for each house and just be like, hey, how much is your seller willing to give in terms of buyer commission? Side note for any realtor out there, get it in writing. Because if the listing agent can say 3 and if it's on the phone and then whatever happens later, maybe it's just 1. So something to be really careful of. Again, just always cover your ass. Whatever the listing agent says, just make sure you get it in writing. CYA, So those are the major short-term implications. I think the calling the agent part for the commissions is pretty straightforward. I'm not
No, just call. I mean, it's helpful. I mean, you might as well call, or are you allowed to text? You can text. You can text too. All about it. You can do all messaging. Just again, I guess I would be writing if you had a text message showing.
Correct. Either write like text or email. So something to cover your ass. And then I think the buyer broker agreements is going to be the crazier, that's
more in depth. It's a little bit of a longer page for people to look at. And it's a little more complex. Like I feel like some people might not think it's a big deal, and some people might be like, what is this? And give me like the rundown, like step by step.
Correct. Which, and again, for showing agreement and a buyer broker agreement are basically a contract between a buyer and a buyer's agent saying that buyer's agent is going to be representing that buyer. And there's language in there about what commission, what properties, time frame, all that stuff. So again, this is a really high level video to go over what's all that's happening. And then we're going to have a separate video where we break down the individual 2 or 3. I think there's 3 different types of buyer broker agreements. They're exclusive. There's another one, and then the showing agreement.
We'll get them all.
We'll get them all.
We'll lay them all out.
We're going to explain them all.
Yeah.
They're very similar, but they each have their own differences. So,
Yeah, we'll talk about those. So the long term, what's going to happen long term with this?
So this part of it obviously is more opinion because this is just from what I've seen in the industry, from like looking back to before there was the internet and there was then we had Zillow and Realtor.com. And so the industry is going to survive.
Platforms.
Correct. Yeah, the industry is going to survive. There's going to be fallout. There is with every change. Some realtors are going to quit.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It happens with any change. So I think long term, we're going to get into a position where nobody's going to put in any offers without buyer broker agreements, which I think is good because personally, I got sued once by another realtor because I didn't have a buyer broker agreement, and it sucked. It was a waste of time. I didn't do anything wrong, but it sucked. So if I would have just had that one extra document,
right,
it would have been
cover all your bases.
Yeah, cover all your bases.
And I feel like this is going to be the standard, so everyone's going to have to do it.
Correct.
Like just because we tell you, hey, we have to have this signed, and you're like, I don't want to sign it, you're going to go to the next agent. You're going to have to do the same exact thing.
Correct.
So it's just a requirement all around now.
Yeah.
Which I think kind of helps us out, and it's not like you're fighting with someone against it. It's like you're going to have to do this either way.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And I do think people sometimes are like, I don't know, like a buyer just. I would hate to say that there's people that use realtors, but there is people that use realtors.
Yes.
If you tell somebody, it's happened to me many times. But now, because you have to sign this document before you show the house, if somebody's like, "Oh, I'm not signing them," like, I can't show you the house. Like,
I mean,
if you
not to sound bad, but it doesn't waste our time. Then
Yeah,
you're not wasting
it
your
does.
time on somebody, that
Exactly.
doesn't want to work with you. So like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All
At the end of the day,
right,
if somebody's gonna trust you to like help them buy a house, signing one document that just says that you will be representing them is not the end of the world.
No.
Again, we've talked about this in the team. Like you have to be able to, with confidence and with knowledge, explain to the client what they're signing and why it's important, and not just say, "Oh, it's the law."
Yeah, it's the law. I mean, because then like, you need to explain it. Make people like, aware of everything. Cause you don't want to go back and they'd be like, well, you didn't tell me this, or I wasn't like explain this.
Correct.
Again, CYA. So.
CYA. When I think it's also going to help a lot of people, buyers to fix a lot of those situations. Cause it'd be like, it's in the document.
Yeah.
So
we talked about
it,
this.
We talked about it. I explained it to you, commissions and all that. So I think long-term there's going to be, again, like everybody's going to freak out and panic. And, but I think at the end, it's just going to be a cleaner.
It's just cleaner, have all the documents, everything aligned.
I don't think.
And it'll take some adjustment, but I think it's gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I don't think
we're all gonna survive.
Yeah, it's not real estate industry is not gonna crash. We're not all agents are gonna quit.
No.
Home prices are not gonna get fixed by this. So whoever thinks that this means
we're in Florida. So.
Yeah. So if you're in another state, maybe, but I don't see this affecting home prices significantly. I don't see it affecting commissions. I really don't. I think good agents are still going to be able to charge 5 or 6%.
Yep.
And
still offer it. Yep.
Still offer it and still be able to explain to their seller why it's good to offer the buyer's agent 3% and why they, as a listing agent, deserve 3%. I think those conversations are going to continue. And for somebody in most situations, if you want to get top dollar for your house, you probably do want to offer 3% to the buyer's agent, but that's a separate issue. So long term, it's just going to be cleaner. It's going to prevent a lot of lawsuits like the one that I had personally. So
we do not want lawsuits.
Nobody wants lawsuits. And you have to like print all the text messages, and it's so much work. So, no, it was not fun, but I survived.
You survived. We're survivors here.
Survivors.
So who does this affect?
So I think the main people that are going to be affected are like buyer's agents.
I would say buyer's agents and buyers.
Yeah, buyers. I think because buyers are going to have. It's going to be a little bit more of a conversation. It's not just like call a realtor, go see the house. It's call a realtor, and then a good realtor is going to have to explain to you, and you're going to have to sign one extra document before you go see houses. I think and then I think it's going to affect buyers agents that are not like what people say, oh, you guys just open doors and you don't do anything. Those agents, the ones that do that, are going to be affected because they're not going to be able to explain to their buyer what this document is, why they should sign it. So then either they're not going to get it signed and get fined, or they're going to explain it poorly and the buyer's going to say, no, I don't want to sign it. And to your point, that buyer's just going to go to another realtor who's going to explain it properly. They're still going to sign it and then go see the house. So
I mean, not to say it's sell yourself, but you have to show your worth. It's basically making us kind of work harder and showing who we are and you know how we're going to represent you in the best way possible.
And which I think is good because it'll make the good buyers agents, the ones that we've talked about in other episodes that make the transaction smooth. Those are going to rise to the top, and then buyers agents who are just opening doors are not
might not
survive.
do so
those
hot.
people will drop off. But so I think that'll be who it affects the most is buyers agents that don't know how to demonstrate their value quickly and consistently.
It's gonna be an adjustment. Should buyers do anything differently to protect themselves in the market?
Buyers, no, I think it's just, we talked about it. Interview your realtor. And I think this is the perfect way. Interview them, and if you like them and you trust them and you think they're going to do good, sign the buyer broker agreement or the showing agreement.
If not, you're going to have to move on to the next one, and then you're like, oh dang, like you might call back that agent again. So, I think that's interview your buyer.
Interview your realtor, which your buyer's agent, and then when you like them and you think they're going to do good, you sign the buyer broker agreement. Which again, there's different time frames and all that good stuff we can talk about. But
should sellers do anything differently?
Sellers, no. I think sellers should still interview multiple listing agents. I think if they want to get top dollar, they should probably try to offer either 5 or 6%.
And understand why, like have their agent explain to them why. Because it does like makes your pool so much bigger for everyone.
I think when you're offering 3% on the buyer side, it's by default. There's going to be more buyers agents that are willing to send that house to their buyers.
Because what they're gonna like categorize it. They're gonna say these are the homes that are not offering any any commission, and then this is the side that's offering this X amount, 2%, 2.5, 3%, whatever. And then they're gonna present it to the client, to your buyer, and then they're gonna have to weigh it out. Like, okay, so this one I don't
have to pay anything.
But this one I'll have to give you that because, and like obviously you it's our worth and it's what you're supposed to do, but I think that kind of changes things.
And you can tell buyers agents can very easily tell their buyers, and we talked about this. Hey, this house is not offering any commission. So if you want me as a buyer's agent to show it to you, per our buyer agreement that you've signed, you will have to pay me my commission. Because we're not going to show houses for free.
No, right. So if it's zero and you really love this home, then we need to have a conversation about, okay, just so you know, then you're going to have to pay my commission, and we're going to talk about whatever percent it is. But
which I see that getting terrifyingly scary because if the buyer in that situation, the buyer's like, nope, I'm canceling our buyer broker agreement. I'm going to go find a realtor that does it for $500. Good luck.
What?
That's going to end horribly. It's all,
and that's just not right.
It's not
right. That's rude. Like, this is our career.
Correct. No, there's going to be buyers that do that. And again, for the seller in that situation, like, now I understand it. Like, you are going to get, by offering 0% and really not being willing to get any buyer commissions at all, you're going to get people, even if it's a qualified buyer, they're going to come with the cheapest realtor possible, which like a 2, 3, like a the flat fee brokerages that exist. You're going to get somebody who says, I'll represent that buyer for $500. They're
not going to do anything.
They're not going to answer their phone. They're not going to answer the text. They're going to, the offer is going to be a disaster. The contract, all the paperwork is going to be a disaster. They're not going to do an inspection period. The mortgage process is going to be a disaster. The title, God knows what title company they're going to use. So if you really think which means you're going to go under contract, the chances that you fall out of contract are higher. So again, for sellers, which is I think where we started.
Yes.
Interview your realtor and have a realtor pick the realtor that can explain to you in good detail why they should charge 6%.
Yep.
That's my honest truth. Yeah.
That's what we think. That's what
correct. That's
our
my
team
opinion.
thinks. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Showing agreement versus exclusive buyer broker agreement. So we're gonna dive into both of those in another episode and explain it like line by line. But what's the difference?
Yeah, like high level. So a showing agreement is just a very basic buyer's agent agreement, buyer broker agreement. So you're gonna go show whatever 5 houses to a buyer tomorrow. This is the way we're training the team is send the buyer broker agreement, the showing agreement the day before, so the person has time to read it over, and the next morning they can either sign it electronically or sign it with you before you see the houses. But it's a 1 page. I think it's just 1 page in the back, just signatures. And it basically just very simply, by signing this document, you are agreeing that if you purchase any of the houses that we see today, I will be representing you.
Yeah.
And then there's a section there that talks about commission, and you can tell the buyer, hey, I've already called and 3 of these houses are offering 2.5, 3%. This house at the end is not offering any commission. So if you do want to see that house and you were to want to put an offer in that one, just know that you would have to pay my commission, whatever we stipulate, 2 or 3%.
Yep.
So that's the showing agreement. It's a very basic version.
Just 1 sheet. And I mean, and that's pretty standard. I mean, it's not, you're going to go be seeing the homes with this agent all day if you have 5, 6 homes scheduled anyways. So, correct. I mean, that's your person. If you were to go through on contract, then that's your agent.
Correct.
But the buyer exclusive broker agreement.
Yeah. So the exclusive buyer.
That one's a little more complicated.
Yeah. That one. And it's the same information, but instead of being like individual properties, it's going to say this buyer's agent is going to represent me no matter what property I purchase. Even if I see the property on an open house, so it opens it up a lot more. It's when you really, really like, this is my agent. I'm not going to try to go to listing agents. I'm not going to try to go for sale by owners. This is my guy or my girl, and I'm going to use them regardless. It's the time frames, you can write them in, but I would assume most agents are going to use longer time frames for the buyer broker agreements.
You can do whatever you're comfortable with the client. You can adjust it, modify as needed.
Correct.
And I mean, and that is a good thing for us. I feel like having that, because then okay, great. Like I showed this person, we'll look again next month, but they're not going to be going to somebody else. So that is makes you feel safe as being an agent.
It makes you work harder.
But I can see like how that can get a little sticky for certain people that are maybe coming into town. They don't live here and they're leaving, but maybe they, want to talk to somebody else. Like, but
well, that's the other thing. It's like those agreements, the buyer broker agreement, the showing agreement, have a termination clause that's very straightforward.
Yeah.
Unless like the buyer's agent is going to charge you a retainer fee or something, more than likely, most agents I would assume are not going to do that. But if they do, that's a different conversation. We're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
But there's a termination clause, which is very simple. You just have to tell the agent, hey, I no longer want to work with you for whatever reason. So I think that's one of the things that you should really explain to people very carefully, is that if for whatever reason moving down the line, you think that we're not doing a good job, I'm not representing you to the best of my abilities or as high of a level as you deserve, you can just cancel it, and then you can sign one with another realtor, and then the previous one's been canceled, and that's it. So it's funny because it's a contract, but it's a contract that you can get out of very easily if you don't want to work with that buyer's agent.
Yeah, so it's not like you're locked in forever. And
unless you're under contract.
Unless you're under contract, that's different. But contract with your agent.
Yeah, so it's a contract with your agent. But I think the main thing, from my understanding, the main thing that they were trying to get across is so that buyers are very understanding, because they have to sign something. It's more than likely they're going to ask more questions, and then they'll just have a better understanding. And I think they're trying to prevent buyers in the future from suing the way the sellers did.
Yeah,
because now they're going to have more information up front, and it's all on paper. They signed.
So there's
kind of harder to sue when you sign.
Less lawsuits, I guess. Okay, well, perfect. That's kind of the gist of what's going on with our real estate commissions, NAR settlement, etc. But we can talk about everything in specific episodes.
Yeah, I think one of the episodes I want to do, we'll have the actual showing agreement, the buyer broker, and we'll read through it.
And I think we should bring it. Maybe we can put it like on the camera, so they can kind of look at it too. Yeah,
we can add it on the screen. But I think, and it's going to be a good one for people to just be able to read it, so that when you go to buy a house or see a house, and the agent talks to you about it, you can be like, hey, I've seen the document. I understand what I'm signing.
Yep.
Here's my signature. Let's go see the house. You're my.
And then if they have questions, they can ask you prior and everything to get that out of the way. And then if you're moving forward and you see the house, then great. You move in and improving, and hopefully you find what you like.
So, but yeah, overall, this is not going to destroy the real estate industry.
No.
Commissions are not going to come crumbling to 0%. Home prices are not going to get fixed by this. And I think, just my opinion, I guess, but this idea, and I hear it on the news all the time, that this is a way to like fix home prices and help people afford houses. It's not like there's other things you can do, government, to fix home prices.
It might stress buyers out a little bit depending on the person, but
discounting our commissions, whatever it is, 1 or 2% is not going to fix home prices. Those supply and demand issues are apart from us. We're here to help people. So and this is still a job that we need to get paid to do, because like food costs money.
This is my career.
This is our career. So overall, the real estate industry will survive, and then home prices will be what they are.
And we'll see what happens, I guess.
Cool.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you, guys.